start going to the gym. That was my obsession. Start taking that energy out on there instead of, taking it out in anger against the world and stuff like that. And reaching out and talking and having someone to talk with. And that's why I believe in God so heavily too. I was at my lowest when I was isolated. That's when the psychosis came into play. And I was,
with the withdrawals.
Yeah, with the withdrawals.
Really?
And then so I think.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long-Term Podcast. I'm your host, Advin Villa. Today, we have University of Alberta marketing student and gym bro, Evan Levy. We will discuss using negative, traumatic experiences as a source for self-improvement, grief, psychosis, and addiction. Evan has an incredible story, one where he has been through a great deal of suffering, yet he stands today with hope and gratitude, and the tumultuous times has only added fuel to his fire. And yeah, I'm very proud of his story and what he's been through. It's very inspiring. I hope you all enjoy. Everyone, welcome.
All right, bro. Welcome to the Long-Term Podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be on it. I'm excited to get going.
Yeah. How's your day?
It's been well. Yeah. It's been, a chill day. It's nice outside. So get started. Yeah. Feel good.
You hitting the gym after this?
I am. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Always.
What are you working?
I'll be doing bench press today. Got to get that up for the bulking phase this season. So yeah, focusing bench and yeah.
Yeah, dude. So chest day is always a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite day.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a 19-year-old university student who's taking a year off right now. So I'm trying to find myself in this year, see exactly what it is I want to do with the rest of my life and what I want to pursue, my passions, everything that I'm interested in and stuff like that. Take a time to look at it while working as much as possible, make money, and yeah.
Yeah. So what made you choose the route that you're in today? I know you're a marketing student.
Yeah, marketing student. Yeah. I've always really been into selling things and like always trying to start up little businesses and stuff like that. I would sell candy when I was in elementary school. And then for the past couple of years, I've had a personal clothing brand that I've been selling. So I do that on the side and it's, something that I'm,
What's your clothing brand?
It's not like anything that I make, I resell. So like sports jerseys, stuff like that. So that I started that when I was 17 and then I saw how much money I could make like that. So then I decided to try and see if I could further my selling into other things by going to school and learning more about business and the numbers and everything like that.
Would you ever do door-to-door selling?
I wouldn't personally because I don't think it's as efficient. Like it's not that I'm scared of, door knocking and stuff like that. If it has to be done, it has to be done. But yeah.
Yeah, man. I got my buddy. He's been trying to convince me to do door-to-door knocking with him.
Okay.
He's been talking about the reward when it comes to selling a product.
Yeah.
Because you could get rejected 100 times, and then after the 100th one time, then you get a purchaser.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest feeling, he said. But then you could also just have 5 in a row, and it's about how much you put in. That's what you're going to get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
That's what I love about business,
you can go in,
because whatever amounts of effort you put in, that's what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
Rather than just working a 9 to 5, and it doesn't matter if you work harder, you just get the same hourly rate.
Yeah.
But then if you do get a raise, then it's not correlated to or connected to the amount of effort that you do put in.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's a lot to do with, I don't know, I'm really interested in being self-employed. That's one big thing.
Me
and the
too, man.
benefits that come with it. So
yeah, I really just want to build something.
yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
there's people that started off with an idea,
Yeah.
whether it be about fast food or clothing or a product. And then over time, they got their friend in on it. And then another friend. Next thing you know, they're in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're building up an empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
I would love to
completely
have
yours.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about using negative traumatic experiences as a source of self-improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like, everybody's going to go through negative things throughout their life. And if you can learn to turn it into something positive, you're only going to be helping yourself and those around you at the same time. Like if it's a kid getting bullied, for example, I was bullied, and then you use that as motivation to better yourself throughout all aspects of your life. And start going to the gym. That was my obsession. Start taking that energy out on there instead of, taking it out in anger against the world and stuff like that. And building up yourself to be something that you want and something that you worked for. And you can prove to yourself that you're you're worthy. So like I was bullied about my weight and stuff like that. And I'm not saying like let anybody's influences dictate on what you feel about yourself, but I do believe that it's using those negative words can really help you get what you want.
Yeah. Donald Miller has this idea of the hero and the villain. And both of them kind of go through the same traumatic events when they were younger, of being rejected or being inflicted with just pain. And what the hero wants to do is they experience that pain and they want to grow from it. Instead of letting it get them down, they use that as fuel to propel them.
Yeah.
Like the world hurt me. I don't want the world to feel that way. I don't want other people to experience what I experienced. But the villain experiences that and goes, okay, I was inflicted the wrong card. I'm going to make sure that everybody else has the same experience as me.
Yeah.
No, how come you didn't take the route of giving pain back?
I mean, what do you gain from it? Yeah. That's what I see.
I mean, you certainly have the size now. You could go back to those bullies. And,
and I see a lot of them around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I make friends with them. A lot of them I'm friends with some of the people that were like that.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to say because it's like, look at where I got to. And then where are they? So
it's how would it help you to hold that grudge and to put them down later on after just years?
Yeah.
And you guys were children back then.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sure, it did produce adverse effects onto your well-being, but to act like the victim and not do anything with that pain and instead use it as an excuse not to keep going. And would you have worked out without those people bullying you?
I don't know, honestly. That's one thing. I honestly feel like I probably wouldn't have started when I did because I was really into, video games and all that stuff. And then so it was a lot of the words being said from my lifestyle back then that led me into the fitness community. And I started researching, how can I change this way? How can I change this? And then I kind of had this idea of how I wanted to look. And then I was like, if anyone else can do it, why can't I? And then so I put a lot of that energy into trying to get everything that I want with
And
my physique and my looks and stuff like that. And then
this was in middle school?
yeah, it was in it started in middle school, and then I lost a whole bunch of weight, so then I got pretty skinny. And then in high school, I would say grade 11 is when I decided I wanted to get big, and then really got into the gym. So yeah.
Yeah. Did the bullies stop after?
Yeah, that's the thing, is once I got bigger, it was like I wouldn't really let anyone say anything to me. So
yeah.
Then it kind of stopped. But then, I can't say I'm a hero either. I said bad things back, but it's learning why people say what they say and bring you down. And I believe it all stems from insecurities of their own. A lot of it. And a lot of everybody is just projecting their own insecurities back onto the world.
Yeah. I believe nobody in the correct mindset or a healthy mindset is wanting others to be lower than them.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're in a happy mindset and you're comfortable in your own skin, there's no need to put other people down.
Yeah.
And to actually internalize that, it's so tough because they're inflicting pain onto you, and all you want to do is just lash out and hurt them back. But if you take the second to understand that, oh, maybe these kids, some of them adults,
yeah.
right? They're going through a tough time in life. I don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And to take it with a grain of salt. Because what I tend to do when some people are mean to me is I take it as something that is true, and I look for ways why it's true, and then I start to believe what they're saying. And it's a bad recipe for success, because then you're just, when you start telling yourself that, oh, you are stupid, oh, you're dumb, then the lens that you look at the world with starts to look that way. Right?
Exactly.
It starts to like, oh, what's the point of going to the gym, right? Guy said I'm small anyways, or oh, what's the point of studying? They said I'm stupid, and then it's that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But if you go, no, what they're saying isn't true. They're going through a tough time, but I'm gonna keep improving. I'm gonna keep dialing it in.
Yeah.
And sure, it hurts. I can't just be stoic and not feel what they're telling me isn't true. It's just I can use that as fuel, and I can keep on trudging on forward. And I don't want other people to feel this way, so I'm gonna be friends with people who are victim to this.
To help out. Yeah. And my big thing too was I always had like this little mindset of trying to prove everybody wrong. And like that's what really got me going at the beginning, is I know I can be whatever. I know I have it in me. So I'm going to prove everybody wrong and change myself and change to prove people wrong. And then it kind of developed into a thing like, I don't care about what anyone thinks anymore, and I do this for myself because it's what I love. So
I flip-flop between the two.
Yeah.
Initially it's, oh, I'm going to prove this person wrong because I felt like they were looking down on me. And then what I find out is, okay, no, I don't care what they think. I'm just doing it for me. But then but then I go back to the mode of, oh no, I need to prove them. But at the end of the day, I think the latter is much more useful in propelling you to keep going. Because if you were going to the gym or getting your degree to prove that person wrong, and you finally did it, maybe you're 200 pounds, pure muscle, or I think that's light for you, right? 250 pounds, pure muscle. Then you go to that person that hurt you, and it's, wow, you go look him in the eye, and I think it's kind of sad because you put in all this time for that person. Like it wasn't for you.
That's right? What I mean. Yeah.
I made that realization after listening to a podcast. I'm like, that's not a good way of thinking.
Yeah.
But I still fall victim to it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody does that to some degree, but it's really your mindset kind of shifts when you, or in my experience, at least, when you try and see how much you can really get out of yourself, what your potential is. And I feel like that's when you work the hardest, when it's not for anybody else. It's to see, how much can you make out of this life? Are you doing enough? Are you, giving it all you got at all times, all the time for your own goals?
Yeah. It's you versus you.
Yeah.
Because other people, they may have had a better start. They didn't get bullied. Great family.
Yeah.
No.
Everything.
Nothing was really that hard. But then that's their own life. You don't really know what they're going through. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're suffering from depression. Maybe they are really insecure about their own bodies, about their intellect. But then even if they do share that with you, you don't really know what they're going through. And for you to compare yourself to their achievements, like if you got a guy that's 50 pounds more with muscle, and you say, oh, that person's definitely got it figured out, like you really don't know.
Yeah, you don't at all. And it's a lot of the times too, the bigger the person is, or how they look, they're more insecure.
It's kind of the that's the irony of it, hey? Because some of the biggest people that I have come to know, like, while they're strong and they're huge, they suffer from this crippling sense of not being enough. Like it's always more and more and more. Yeah. Right.
And it never stops either.
Yeah, it never stops up until the body gives in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm envious of the people that just can enjoy a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Like just enjoy just being them. They don't want to be a billionaire or have all this status. They're comfortable in their own skins, and you can really tell.
Yeah, you can. And I think it's for me personally, I think it's anxiety that plays a big part of it. And it's always that feeling like with the gym, let's say for me, it was, every single food I would eat, I would search up the calories for however many years, make sure there's enough protein, make sure there's enough, whatever carbs, not anything. And then maximizing everything to get what I wanted the most efficient ways while staying natural. So it was like optimizing every single thing that I did, and, investing in my sleep so I'd have an optimal sleep, investing in this and that, and then relaxation. And it kind of just takes up so much time and energy that you're never happy still. Even once you get to the goal, you finish your cut, you're like, oh, I'm going to look so good at the end of this cut. And then that's just what I want. And then you're like, oh, at the end of the cut, I'm too skinny. It's time to bulk again. And then it's a constant cycle that just...
Yeah. That reminds me of this concept by Chris Williamson too. And it's called the productivity purgatory, where when you do hit the gym, you go through this entire workout regime of time under tension, and you got to make sure you touch your chest, and you got to make sure you're taking 30 seconds break to increase the anabolic time. And then you got to make sure you're eating in this time frame. And then you're tracking every single calorie, carbs, and gram of protein per body weight.
Yeah.
And then eventually you hit all of them. And what you realize is you're not in the moment, and everything was just for productivity.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't the act of just doing it for fun is stripped away.
Yeah.
And that's certainly, sure. I suffer with that too, because then some people just do it for fun and they don't track anything. Yeah. They seem to have better results.
And that's, that's what I do now. Right now, I just, it's kind of like having the knowledge of all of that now. I'll go eat whatever I want, Tim Hortons, whatever. And you just pick the ones that have protein in it. And it kind of is like changed what I enjoyed. I enjoy eating for protein now. It's, like that's the food I like to eat, is a lot of meats and stuff like that. So I don't really track anything. I'm pretty comfortable now, so I still want to make sure I get everything out of it, but I kind of fell into the dirty bulk each time to gain as much weight as possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Instead of being neurotic for every single meal and taking away the peace of just enjoying that meal with another person, of a friend or a family member.
Yeah.
You just order it and just, that's it. It's the highest protein counts as to the knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
And then just being comfortable with that instead of, oh man, this is, how many calories is this?
Yeah. I was eating like, I don't know, beef liver every other day and like all these.
Yeah. This is optimal
trying it raw
for
and
the
stuff like that.
anabolic window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what strategies or mindset shifts have helped you turn negative experiences into opportunities for self-improvement?
I would say looking at everything as there's always a positive in everything. You can always find a positive in every negative situation that happens to you. It's always a learning lesson, a life experience, something that you can build off of for yourself. It may be completely detrimental to you, whatever happens, but there's always something that you can take out of it where you learn a lot. If it's a death, you learn about how valuable life is. You learn about how to cherish moments. And I believe you keep learning until the day you die yourself. And nobody truly has it figured out. But once you develop a mindset of taking all these negative moments as something to learn, you will continue to better yourself.
There was a time where I was devoid of meaning and purpose in my life. And every day I'd wake up and it was all just didn't feel good to keep going. I was stripped away from the fulfilling side of life, and I kind of just went about taking and destroying things, my relationships, and just the friends that I had. They weren't rooted in honesty or vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
It was just all partying and drugs and who can be the biggest achiever when it comes to just drinking as much or when it comes to lifting. It was always
useless things.
How can you be better than the other person? But then what I've realized was that just created an atmosphere devoid of actual connection in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to change things. Had I not realized that, though, if I didn't experience the lack of connection and kind of if I didn't travel the path of debauchery of life that I should not have kept going with, if I didn't experience that side of life, I wouldn't have realized just how good I have it now and how much agency and gratitude I should have, because it's been a 180.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And you had said that maybe at the time, that traumatic event, that experience that's producing an adverse effect onto your well-being may be the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But there's meaning to it, and you can learn from it, and we never stop learning.
Yeah, and there's always something, even if it's absolutely terrible, it shows you how good the highs are in life compared to what it could be, is how I like to see it.
And I like the saying of too much sunshine creates a desert too, man.
Yeah,
you can't have too much of a good thing results in suffering, because then you don't get to realize just how good you have it if everything was good, then how would you know what bad is? If bad didn't exist, then what is good?
Yeah. And it shows you too, like, you know, a lot of us are blessed to have a good life and a good start in life compared to majority of the world. So it kind of shows you what we're really working for and what we go to work for and work hard and go to school for and stuff like that, you know, to have a good life and how valuable having a good life is. So I like to
And there's an impermanence to everything too, where the good that you do feel is temporary, and the bad that you feel is temporary.
Yeah, nothing
So,
lasts forever.
Yeah, it's good to revel in it and to actually live in the moment, as hard as that may be, to actually so bask in the sunlight and in the shared laughter with the family member, with the friend, because one day you'll wake up and that moment has passed.
Yeah.
And were you thinking about that insecurity or that goal that you have been wanting to reach, right? Or did you actually just live in it, right?
And enjoy the moment.
Yeah. How do you stay motivated to keep pushing forward when reflecting on past traumas or setbacks?
I try and look at all of my past experiences as a source of motivation. You know, the gym and stuff like that is kind of my time to take out whatever's on my mind every day, get out all my anger so I can go out in the world and be a nice person and, you know, try and be the best me. But it's really, when I go in, I kind of lock in, and it's like I use all the negative things, deaths and stuff like that. You know, I'll be like, this is in honor of the person I lost, or this is a way of keeping myself on the right track because this is what I think I'm good at. And this is what my purpose is to be the best version of me. And then so I use that as a way to try and keep straight. You know, I'm obviously not perfect. I struggle just like anybody else when it comes to negative things, but it's for me, I use the gym as my therapy pretty much. And it's really been a big help in my life. And, you know, all my negative times in life, when I lost somebody, when I would go to a funeral this year, the first place I would go afterwards was the gym and just get all those feelings out. And yeah.
What does it feel like when you're pushing for that heavy rep?
Yeah.
Or when you want to quit? Like, what does the gym mean
like,
to you?
It kind of shows you that you just can't give up. And it's like, you have to keep pushing and keep pushing. That's how I like to see it. It's like, you're going to get progress if you keep showing up. And it's not even about progress, but it's like, you just keep showing up. You stay motivated. Even if you're sad, you still go. Even if you're happy, you still go. If you're mad, you go. It's kind of a way to keep yourself on track because people can turn to, you know, other ways to get their feelings out that aren't so good. So
yeah, dude, if I didn't have the gym, I would probably be on SSRIs, like some sort of antidepressants or alcohol.
Something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a blessing to be able to go in there and give it the best that you can, because what happens with striving for that rep and putting yourself under that immense pressure is your mind feels lighter. Because I think I heard David Goggins talk about scheduled suffering, where in life there's going to be a lot of things that come out, and it's going to subject you to tumultuous times, and you did not ask for it. You did not control it. And just how are you going to deal with it? Have you been in this situation before? And to combat against that is to prepare yourself by scheduling suffering where you know you're going to suffer. This is something where you already called upon, like going to the gym, like studying, like working as hard as you can, having those tough talks with a family member. Like how are you going to succeed in these times where you didn't call for it is where you subject yourself to that feeling over and over. So when it does come, okay, you've been through this.
Yeah, like David Goggins says too, it's about armoring your mind, and you have to do it the best you can. It's like if I didn't have the gym for a lot of the shit that I went through this past year, I don't know where I would be right now. So it really did, I would go when I was 16, 17, 18. I was running and running and running, just listening to David Goggins speak and armoring your mind, being ready for what life throws at you, and that you can't just sit in a hole and, try and figure out what's wrong with you and figure out this, and this. You have to just keep moving forward. Life goes on. Yeah. So I got in a pretty bad rut this year as well. And that was one of the things that got me out, was remembering all of that I had learned from those runs and learned from, is to just keep on running, pretty much. Is keep on going forward. That's why I like the gym, as it kind of is like I don't know what the word would be, but it's a good way to learn life lessons from it. You just keep pushing, or you keep running, or you just keep showing up, and it teaches you those life lessons. And that's what I love about it.
You treat the body rigorously so the mind doesn't become disobedient.
Yeah.
And by showing up every day, you have this freeing feeling. And I used to think that after I'd achieve a certain weight or strength, that all my problems would dissipate. And after I acquired this fulfilling connection with a friend or family member, then I can be happy. Then everything's going to be solved.
Yeah, me too.
But what I found out is ruts happen, and Disney's happily ever after. There's no happily ever after, man.
No.
There's no, you wake up every day, there's always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Whether it be about finance, relational issues, death of a loved one, insecurities coming out, just irrational thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you combat that? Going to the gym.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people that uplift you. Gratitude. Learning, and just positive psychology. There's all these things. But the negativity is just so powerful, hey?
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It can get to you just like anyone. There's nobody who doesn't struggle. I feel like everybody struggles at some point in their life. It's just a fact of life, and it's learning to accept that fact that you can think your life is so perfect right now, but one day or another it will come where you're in a struggle.
The barbarians will come.
Yeah.
They'll come. They'll come knocking on that door.
Yeah.
When you least expect it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like I remember the happiest times this year and the most miserable times. In my head, I'd convinced myself that there's no stopping this feeling. I'm going to be miserable forever, or I'm going to be happy forever. But then when you least suspect it, something happens.
Yeah, something crazy.
And something crazy, and it's just like flips it. But you just got to keep callousing that mind, man. Yeah. How has your experience with grief shaped your perspective on life and personal development?
Grief has really been a big part of my year this year, from, I don't know, it was like 5 different deaths in my family this year. So
sorry to hear.
Yeah, thank you. But it's been tough. And so I had never really experienced grief like that before in life.
5.
Yeah, it was 5 this
Jeez,
year,
man.
something around that.
In the same year?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. A few of my aunts all got cancer at one time, and then my grandma got cancer, and my grandpa, unexpected.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
And then, so it's it was really rough, and I've matured a lot now since then, but after my aunt died, the first one, she was really like my role model for a
You
lot
guys
of
were
things.
close?
We were very close. Yeah, she was the one connection I have to the black side of me,
Mhm.
because I'm mixed. So she was a very big role model for me. And it was unexpected. She had beat the cancer, and then out of nowhere, it was heart failure or something from the chemo and stuff. And then so that was a rough one. And right away, my way of coping when I was 18 or whatever was smoking weed and going to the gym. I would smoke weed every day and then just go to the gym. And, that was my way of staying motivated. I would play basketball. I'd be like, I'm going to make something great out of this experience. And then it was just another death on top of another one on top of another one. And it all kind of bundled up. And my way of coping was just running and running and running in the gym. And I was there, 5 hours a day, maybe at Millennium every day. I knew it was catabolic, if you want to go like that, but it was just what I needed at the time. And
Yeah.
it was my way of coping and doing stuff in honor of the people that died. And I did what I was best at, and that was lifting weights. And I figured I want to be the best at this in honor of them, make something great out of it and show what I can do.
Well, I'm sure they're very much proud of you and for how you've taken the loss. And actually, I'm reading this book, and it's about this. In the book, it's A Man's Search for Meaning. There's a patient of the author was going through grief after his beloved wife had passed away, and he didn't really want to do anything because he's just stricken with grief and he had lost hope for life.
Yeah.
But then the question that was asked to him was, what if it was the other way around? What if you had passed away first? Would you want your wife to sulk and to just not do anything, just lay in bed?
Mm-hmm.
And no, the question is, you always want the best for the person that's remaining on Earth. And that's what I've learned too. I've never had anyone pass away in my life. I'm terrified, man. I don't know what it's gonna.
It's not very easy for sure.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I'm terrified because you never know. Car crashes, right? Disease, just. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen to every single one of us. It's just a matter of when. And if I did pass, I wouldn't want my family and friends to sulk too long. Like it's cool to be able to, attend the funeral or just share memories and remember the person for who they were. But then I've heard of incidents where the person cannot move forward. Like it's just so difficult for them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want that for my family and friends. And I'm sure the aunts and grandparents that have passed away wouldn't want that for you. Right?
Yeah.
I'm religious, I'm Christian, and I'm sure they're looking down on you from above and wanting you to succeed.
Yeah, and that's honestly the one thing that keeps you going through grief, for me at least, is my belief in Jesus Christ and that there is something so much bigger than all of this. And so that belief really, really is, I have to give thanks to everything that I have for it, for getting me through all of the darkest times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
All
so,
this suffering
yeah,
is meant for something greater.
something greater. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jesus died for our sins too, man. And
Yeah.
that's the
Something
greatest
beautiful.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have blown all those people that chastised him and hurt him,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Exactly. Forgiveness.
Yeah. But kudos to you, man, for spending 5 hours and
Thank you.
just not choosing the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
of just, crying about it and just not doing anything. But you use that as fuel still, and you use that as a way to recognize that life is fleeting and not every day is a guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it was the one thing I was doing wrong was smoking weed during the gym and stuff like that.
But I
and
heard
combining
it makes
two
people,
together.
It gets the muscles more engaged.
It does. But when you get to a point where it's like the stuff I was smoking was strong and so it was
kind of overdoing it.
Yeah. Every day, multiple times a day. And then you can't go to the gym the same without it. And then you can't play basketball the same without of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then that gets too much because then you have to do it to go to sleep, but then you're not getting proper REM sleep. And then, so it's recovery is the most important part, but you don't get proper recovery with it. And
you got past it.
I did. So, yes. Yeah. And that was big thanks to my family for helping me past that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, dude. I always wonder where I'd be without my family.
Yeah.
Man, I always thought that I could just willpower everything, that I was strong.
Me too.
But actually, my dad taught me that.
Yeah.
Without him, I wouldn't have that resilient mindset. And without all of my family members, I wouldn't have the continuous support to be who I am and to get up every day. And even just today, like I came downstairs and there's my family, right? That I was having my green tea and we weren't talking about anything serious, but that connection, that feeling of you're not alone.
Gives you a reason to get out of bed. So it's been great.
Yeah. Because I've been waking up with around October, man, like dread.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, again, here we go.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Here we go again. So what coping mechanisms or routines have you found most effective in managing grief?
In managing grief, I would say not isolating yourself is probably the most important thing. That's what I was doing a lot. At first, I was completely alone. I would, lie and say I was going somewhere else, and I would go straight to the gym and then spend my whole day there. I would say I was going to school, and then I would go straight to the gym and, just spend the whole day there and stuff like that. Not talk to anyone, not talk to my family when I got home, just gym and sleep. And that's, I said I was doing it for something positive, but to a point, it just started getting very negative and very negative minded. I felt really alone and like no one understood me and nobody, things like that. And then so reaching out and talking and having someone to talk with. And that's why I believe in God so heavily too. I was at my lowest when I was isolated like that, had nobody to talk with. And then I dropped my driver's license outside of the weed store, and then somebody picked it up and brought it into the chiropractor clinic next door and gave it to the receptionist. And then I got a message on Instagram, and then me and the receptionist started talking, and now she's my girlfriend.
Really?
And, yeah. And so she helped me through my dark time and grieving, and had a lot more experience with that stuff and really helped me get out of that hole.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, I just hear Tinder. Like, where'd you guys meet? Tinder or a Hinge, Bumble. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So while the gym can be a way of catharsis, of improving the mind and body and even soul. It can also be a form of running away from the problem. Hey,
Yeah.
if you do use it in a bad way.
Yeah, it's a very, I'm still figuring it out too, how to, the gym has a lot of, I would say, toxic masculinity behind it. So it's kind of finding a balance between talking about your problems and dealing with it and, you know, stuff like that, because it's a lot easier to take out all your problems in the gym and stuff like that when you're alone. But then when you have to have relationships with people and, you know, want to build and be a better person, it's, you have to really work on what's going on mentally inside to be able to strengthen those relationships, because you won't always be happy.
You need
And
to let those people in too. And while you are making all these gains and physically you're moving mountains, emotionally you may be stifled and maybe underdeveloped when it comes to letting all these emotions out. And it's tough for a guy. Like, how are you supposed to do that?
Yeah,
like you're conditioned to just be able to put on the bootstraps and just keep on going forward. But then it weighs on you. It gets heavier and heavier up until you can't carry it anymore and you have to let it out. And when you've been shielding yourself from the people that you love, it's just this mounting pressure. And you had mentioned, I completely relate with that too, is you feel like nobody understands you. And I feel that lots of the time.
Yeah.
Where, I'm this suffering that I'm going through, it's so unique to me. I am the only person that's going through this. And even thinking about it rationally, the chances of that happening is so slim.
That is.
There's people going through worse, and we know that, right? You look on the news and you even talk to some friends and you know of stories where they are going through a much more tumultuous time. But it's just, you just go, oh, that's different. Like, they're not suffering as much as I am. Like, I'm going through a lot. Like, I feel it. Yeah. But it's just taking that time to, okay, I've got my family. I've got the gym. I can't abuse the gym. I've still got it. And I need to be able to open up with my other family members and know that they're there for me and I'm there for them.
Exactly. And it's like scheduling times to, you know, this was a big thing for me that really worked, was kind of setting aside a time to grieve. And, you know, like this time, because otherwise you're sad all day and then you don't want to wake up. And it's, you know, a constant cycle of just dragging your feet all day, every day, always something on your mind. And
it's in the back of your head.
Yeah. So it's like setting aside a time to be sad, because the person who died wouldn't want you to be sad all the time.
Yeah.
And it's, to
let it all out. Right.
And then it's a big thing with the gym that comes is pride and ego and stuff like that. So I was going down a bad path, trying to deal with everything on my own by like, I'm going to be there for my mom. I'm going to be there for this. I'm not going to shed a tear. I'm not going to cry. And then you don't. At one point, you know, after death, then you stop crying. And then you realize that that's worse than actually crying.
Yeah. It's actually freeing.
Yeah. Just to let it out.
Spelling it out, hey?
Yeah, it doesn't make you any less of a man, because once you lose the ability to shed tears, then you wish for them back. And it's...
Yeah. As a society, though, we still have that stigma of, like, you're a man. Like, you shouldn't feel this way. And actually, I want to read to you let me know what you think of this. It's about kind of expressing yourself as a man. Did I write it down? But so essentially, when you're a man, right, and especially if you haven't done much with your life, Can't find it. Okay, I think there it is. Oh no.
Oh, it's the one you posted it, right?
Yeah, I
you?
did.
Yeah, I did read that.
Yeah. I think
I agreed with that.
there's also there's being a man, right? And
Yeah.
if you're just when you're talking about your emotions and you're sulking and you're being very vulnerable, but if you have nothing going for you, there's still that stigma of this guy's just a bitch. You know, like I still have that feeling too of, oh, like a real man shouldn't express themselves. But then there's also that side of just, if you're a man, right? If you've already done a lot with your life and there's things going for you and you express it vulnerability, then it's like, oh, look at this guy. He's Chris Bumstead. He's a 7-time Mr. Olympia champion. Like he's talking about vulnerability. Like, of course, like he's this is what a male looks like. And certainly we, as a society, we still hold that. We talk about mental health and all that, but that's still kind of in people's minds, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, I think the scary part for a man is if you're not feeling emotion.
Yeah.
I think that you should be more concerned about that than a man who does have emotion. Because it's like, I don't know, you look at rappers, for example, who are big and tough and aren't gonna, ever cry or do anything like that. It's all an act at the end of the day. Everybody feel emotions. So
yeah,
it's just learning to be comfortable with yourself and vulnerable and open and dealing with those emotions in a proper way compared to putting on some character, because that's not being a man. A man is doing what's hard, and that's being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So.
This defense attorney, I love his book, James Sexton. He has this quote of, doing the right thing and doing the hard thing, they're usually the same.
Yeah.
When you are wanting to have that tough talk, and when you're wanting to do a difficult task, usually it's the thing that you dread. Rarely is it just the easy route. It takes some effort, some work. And I think the antidote to not being judged, or to be able to express your emotions, is to normalize it within your friends and family, and surround yourself with people that do approve of it, that are there for you. Because I do agree, there's still people out there that would look down on you if you were to be vulnerable, but then those people just aren't for you. Pick another tribe. Pick some other friends.
Like, I don't know, there's really no reason to look down on someone for being vulnerable. That's how I see it. So
if you're not hurting anyone, just a way of expressing yourself, and you need to be there for them. If they're gonna be there for you, you gotta be there for them.
Exactly. Yeah. Agree with that big time.
Yeah. So with grief, in your opinion, what are the best ways to support someone who is currently dealing with loss?
I would say to reach out. A lot of times they're going to want to isolate themselves. They're not going to want to talk. They're not going to want to. You can see it for sure in the people around you. You can see when they're really struggling because they're going to be distant. And it's reaching out first, like, do you want to go do something? Stuff like that, just to get them out of the house, because their depression can really bring itself out in a room, I feel. And, it's like the bed, and you never want to leave your bed, and it's like the hardest part of your day is getting out of bed. So it's giving them a want to escape the room and to go outside and, start doing things again. It's the best way to heal, I think. And staying busy. is a big one. Making sure they're staying busy. If you have too much time on your hands, it's only going to make it worse. And I think staying busy is very important for everyone, to free yourself from your own mind.
Because you ruminate on those thoughts and you just create all these narratives that cater to the feelings that you do have, and you magnify them and you look at them from every angle. You can't get out of your head.
And then it's just a vicious cycle. And grief is a lot more than just being sad. It's being angry. It's being, or maybe you reach out to someone who's grieving. You might not get a response that's very nice back. It's but it's just being there for them consistently and showing them that you're there for them is a big thing.
Good.
My big thing was when I was going through psychosis and stuff with it, a lot to do with multiple deaths right at the same time. I was like, how could you still love me and stuff like that? Because of how angry I've been. How could you still? And then we love you. Your loved ones are there for you.
Yeah,
and that's why they're there.
That's always a lingering thought that I have of, this thing that happened to me, these feelings that I have, I'm unlovable. Why would anyone care about me? Because it seems that bad things happen to me, and you're better off spending time with someone else. Right? But then these toxic, negative mindsets are not true. They're irrational.
Yeah, and you can make something so real in your head, and it's
so real.
It can just be all in your head.
Yeah. And then you look back one day and you realize, why was I so worried?
Yeah.
Why was I so deep in the trenches when I didn't need to be?
Yeah, or what do you think people think of you in your head and all that stuff? And
you start to come up with evidence as to why you're unlovable or why that person hates you. And okay, that person may be just tired and they didn't just respond in an enthusiastic way. Yeah. Speaking of psychosis and addiction, can you describe how your understanding of addiction and psychosis has evolved through your experiences or studies?
I mean, the only way you'll ever truly be able to understand an addict is if you are one yourself, is how I like to see it. And it can really, you'll never think it'll be you who's addicted to anything until it's, I'm not saying I was addicted to any crazy drugs or anything like that, but it was my combination of weed, nicotine, and caffeine all at the same time. And it was pretty high doses of that every day to get me going into the state of mind. And it leads you up to a point where you're like, wow, I can really understand why somebody would turn to hard drugs to, take away their pain. And it's like a scary thought almost of why people do turn to drugs. And it kind of shows you that it's more than just somebody wanting to go and have fun. It's somebody trying to escape reality. And
I used to think that I couldn't get addicted, bro. I had this belief when I was for the longest time, I think maybe my mom just complimented me too much and I thought that I was untouchable.
Me too.
I was in a narcissistic way. Like I was loved as a kid.
Yeah.
But I always thought that I was better in a way where I could go to war and not get PTSD. I could be intoxicated many times and not be addicted to alcohol, and I could smoke all the weed and never get hooked on it.
Yeah.
But after a couple years of vaping, I was hooked. Yeah, and I was like, I can't quit this. Because the moment my life got somewhat stressful, I would turn to it.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing all the talks of, we still don't know the effects of vaping, and it's a healthier form of cigarettes, but we still don't even know that it could be more harmful. But what I've learned from reading a bunch of addiction books too, because I became obsessed on it, and albeit I've never been in an actual like serious drug addiction, I've had my bouts of vape addiction and weed and alcohol,
like that,
but I never like truly abused it. I just got some cravings.
Yeah.
I've heard many stories of people unable to quit, and isn't it just most smokers like they want to quit?
Yeah.
It's not,
and it's
nobody that's addicted to heroin, or majority of people addicted to heroin, want to quit. Like it's not like it's not like it's making their lives better.
Yeah.
At the start, maybe it was, but over time, it's a progressive narrowing of all things that you find pleasurable.
Yeah, it destroys your dopamine receptors.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. You can't be
happy.
Yeah, without it. So, yeah, like weed for me was a lot of money going into it, and it was a lot of buying like infused and crazy stuff, upping
the oils.
Upping the THC percentage every time I would smoke, and trying to find the highest things to just get absolutely high or whatever until you're able to smoke joints just back to back to back and not really feel anything from it. And then it was all of that stuff adding up, and then I found out I was gonna be a father. So then once I found that out right away, I was like, well, now it's time to get my fucking life back. And so I quit everything, vaping, nicotine, caffeine, all at once.
It just made it that easy?
Yeah, it was like a switch in me was, I was trying to get off weed for a long time and I couldn't. And then it was just like that.
Really?
And then so I stopped all of it. And then that's when the psychosis came into play. And I was,
with the withdrawals.
Yeah, with the withdrawals.
Really?
And then so I think, and I didn't even know it either. And I didn't sleep for 7 days straight.
7 days?
Or it was 5 days or something like that.
You must have had micro sleeps though.
It was like I would go, the doctors were saying I wasn't actually sleeping because it was like, I would go lay in bed and then I would just keep looking at the time and the time would just keep passing.
Wow.
So it was like I wasn't actually sleeping. And it was I had one sleep that like spread out the 7 days pretty much. And it was like a 4 or 5 hours.
What is psychosis? Like, I know it's a form of delusion.
Yeah. It's like,
right?
It's different for everybody. It's not knowing what's real and what's not. I had mine was pretty scary. It was, the worst fears imaginable. I wouldn't sleep because when I would try to go to sleep, it would be like scary hallucinations straight in your face and stuff like that. And then so I thought if I went to sleep, I was going to die. So I would stay up.
Is it just demons in front of you?
And it's like, like pits of spiders and like everything. Yeah, that was one of the bad ones. Terrifying. And then it was, I thought everybody was against me. I thought my friends were trying to kill me, stuff like that. And so I was on edge at all times and my heart was racing at all times and stuff like that. Yeah.
Jeez. And that was because your body was so used to THC and caffeine in your system.
And it was like high doses of caffeine because of pre-workout. So I was doing like 400 milligrams a day pretty much of caffeine.
Wow.
If not, and then...
So you get the news that you're going to be a father.
Yeah.
And then you stop all weed, vaping, and alcohol, caffeine, everything?
All at once, yeah.
Jeez,
and then it was...
Did you know this was going to happen?
What do you mean?
Like after the withdrawals? Like I didn't know withdrawals.
I didn't know what the withdrawals were going to be like. And that's the thing. I was so
you
paranoid.
Could die from them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I didn't look into withdrawing. I, had the ego like, I don't care. I can do anything. I can, I've ran this much before. I've done this by armoring my mind. I can do anything until it's you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
In your own mind, that's supposedly so strong and stuff like that. And then your own mind is what really messes with you.
Yeah.
And then so, like I say, the stronger your mind, the easier it is to destroy itself at one point, because through psychosis and things like that, you get so stuck on something being the truth. You're like, I know it's the truth. I'm smart, things like that. Like and then so
I've lived all this time and I've achieved great things.
Yeah.
Why would I question my mind now?
Exactly.
I believe this. I've made myself to who I am.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm making the right decision. So why would I question myself?
Yeah. I just stopped all these addictions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm healthy now. Why am I experiencing it now?
Yeah. And then so that's how mine went. And then so I was like, oh, so was this, was smoking and all that stuff hiding something that I didn't see before because I had too much brain fog or something? And then I was like, I'm finally figuring it out. And I was going through the things thinking I was a super genius and like had figured out everything and, completely delusional pretty much.
Went through like a manic episode and just terror and just in a depressive state.
Yeah.
Up until to the manic.
Fear, and then, all the stress at once, I still had to, because I was going around, trying to make my connections or whatever, so I'd have enough money with my family to be able to support the baby and stuff like that. And so it was just a lot of stress all at once, and my way of coping with stress was smoking weed and listening to music. But I would idolize those people I would listen to in music so much. But then when I realized I'm going to be a father, it's like I can't idolize those people anymore because
the
look
message
at
of the
their
songs.
lives. Look at their lives. It's nothing that I would want for my kid.
Yeah.
Things like that. They don't have happy families. They don't have anything like that. So it was really like started questioning everything. And then it was like I had no music. I didn't want to listen to music because that's how I'd go before. But then I was like, mixed images there. And then I didn't want to go to the gym anymore because I spent so much time there before.
Yeah.
And I didn't have sleep, so I was too tired to go to the gym. And then I didn't have my caffeine, and then it wasn't the same. I had no weed, so then it was kind of just going crazy pretty much.
Everything's pulling you from all ends.
Yeah.
And, do I go to the gym? I've spent so much time there after grieving 5 hours. Maybe that's not for me. I can't go there anymore. I had just stopped all these addictions, but I'm in a healthy state of mind and listening to music. Like Migos, that guy just got shot. Like I don't want to be like him. And
that's what I mean. Yeah.
With mainstream hip hop, a lot of them are just preaching women, drugs, and money.
Yeah.
And is that really the answer? And so you're questioning all these things
all at once.
Which one's the right path for me? The evil, good. It's just with lack of sleep too, and so you can't make a proper decision. You're not rested, and just your body is dysregulated.
And it kills your appetite too, so then you can't eat because weed,
and then you're questioning the intentions of your friends and family. Like, is this person want the best for me, or are they out to get me?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just you get catapulted into this reality of delusion and devoid of compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't. You just doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself I'm fine. If you're not covering the sleep side of things, if you're going through withdrawal, like
you're not yourself.
How did you get past that, man? With that must have been. Was your family terrified? Or?
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah. And that's the thing. They were so scared for me, but then they weren't telling me why. But it's because I wasn't like in it fully. You know what I mean? Mentally. And then so that I could sense that it wasn't like they weren't telling me that they didn't think something was right with me. So then that created a distrust because I could, hear my mom on the phone asking my grandma a bunch of questions about me and stuff like that,
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, they're out to get me.
Yeah. So then I was like, didn't trust anybody at all, my own family, stuff like that. So then I finally just called the psychiatrist hotline number or something like that. And then they said I need to go to the hospital. So that's I was like, I'm done. Want to go to the hospital. And then went there, got to the hospital. I was freaking out at the hospital. I was like, why would you take me to the hospital? Even though I was the one who wanted to go there. So it was like, just getting worse and worse because I was on like the last day of no sleep. And then, it was getting bad there. Finally got a medication, took it once, and it was to make you sleep. And it was like an antipsychotic. Popped it in my mouth, out for 3 days straight. I slept pretty much for 3 days. Yeah. And then after I woke up, I felt 10 million times better because I just needed that sleep.
You wake up and go, oh.
Yeah. Then you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I feel so. I got to go apologize to some people.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I'm thankful that you got past that.
Yeah.
And you're here to live through it.
Yeah.
And be open about it. That's awesome that you
I just want to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. That's a big thing because weed is looked at as such a small thing, like everybody smokes weed. It can't get bad. And I do look at weed as something that can be very positive if it isn't abused.
Yeah.
Because it's when you're high for so long, you forget what being sober feels like.
Bro, I had one of my buddies, he recently just graduated last year, and all throughout high school and all throughout his degree, he smoked 24/7 when he'd be at work, when he'd be driving. And he was telling me he tried to quit, and kind of the same symptoms as you described of just paranoia and just heightened anxiety and distrust in people and questioning yourself. Like the mind can really attack itself. Really.
And that's the thing that people who smoke weed don't understand either. They smoke it, a lot of people, for anxiety and stuff like that. But your anxiety is coming from the paranoia that comes with weed. Every daily weed smoker is going to experience some sort of paranoia, and it's depersonalization, derealization, and stuff like that. It all leads with paranoia, and it's having to realize it that you're feeling those because it's so hard because of weed psychosis.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that I learned from doing shrooms with combining weed. It was like a very bad experience there because they were both clashing with each other because it was my mindset on weed, which is weed psychosis. You think you're the best, you're the shit, you're so cool and stuff like that. And then shrooms is doing the exact opposite. So then it's completely tearing apart your mind because they're both still drugs at the end of the day. And so
have you cold turkey just stopped smoking now?
Yeah.
At all?
Yeah. I don't smoke. I haven't smoked for a couple months now. So,
oh, wow. Congratulations. That's great, man.
Yeah. I tried again once after that, and then I started getting paranoid again, and I was like, nope, not for a long time for me. So
yeah, dude, that feeling of thinking about the times you were talking with your buddy at the gym or at school, and you're out somewhere, and you're maybe alone, maybe with your friend, and you just get into that mental loop of, did they really mean that thing? And you start to gather evidence as to why they weren't genuine, why they're out to get you.
Yeah.
And it's just, I haven't been in too much of a, to the degree of to what you described, but I've definitely experienced a little bout of kind of paranoia when it comes to smoking weed. But yeah, that's definitely what's stopped me. I think the last time I remember, I haven't smoked in like almost a year and a half now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. And definitely what's stopped me was just sitting in my couch and thinking that one of my greatest friends was not wanting the best for me.
Yeah.
And I hated that feeling. It was just such an ugly feeling.
And it's just you think you're right all the time when you're on weed, and then
Yeah.
you looking at things to make up theories in your head, and then you think
Yeah.
that you're,
Yeah.
and that's what it does to a lot of people. And weed is a very useful thing, and people pull up studies and go and look at it and stuff like that, but it's the stigma around it being useful for teenagers and stuff like that, because it's not. It's going to demotivate you. It's going to make you, if you can't deal with it, stuff like that, the paranoia and things like that, or abusing it. It's useful if you're, a chemo patient, or if you're above the age of 25 when the brain is done developing.
Yeah.
So I definitely am not against weed. It's just to be very cautious with it.
Yeah, me too. I think I've met many friends though that it's been more of a problem than a tool to help them.
Yeah.
I think in my experience, it's just something in my life that I don't think I could find derive any benefit. So I just try to keep it away. But yeah, there's certainly, I've met some people that it is good for them and they do live a healthy, normal life, and all the power to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some misconceptions about addiction and psychosis that you wish more people understood?
I would think with addiction, just trying to understand why people are addicts, and how it's most of the time not just looking for something to have fun with. It's usually not out of boredom and stuff like that. It's usually trying to escape bad feelings, especially people who turn to harder drugs. I got a few close people who are on that. And it's always like, I always used to look at them in a very negative way until you really start understanding what leads people to that and the stresses that they've had in their lives. And, you put yourself in their shoes. I'm like, I don't know how I would have handled that. Obviously, weed wasn't, or hard drugs obviously wasn't the way to do that and handle their problems. But if I wasn't blessed enough to find the gym, have a good education, things like that, I don't know where I would be either. So it's a lot of judging and judging addicts. But when you get hooked on something, you can do it once, and then you're hooked for life. You'll never feel that good again in your life. So it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, often the people that are abusing hard drugs like heroin, cocaine,
Yeah.
even alcohol are trying to escape their reality because it's just unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
And you just think too much of the short term, right? But that's your only escape. To be able to feel pleasure is to engage in that behavior. And actually, I'm reading a book right now. It's In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate, bro. I'm on page 122.
Yeah.
And there's been like 30 stories of people. This is a doctor in downtown Vancouver.
Okay.
And he's experienced hell.
Yeah.
Or have heard stories that would resemble hell on earth, of just like people as children. Usually they were raped, abused, like beat up, and growing up, just failure on top of failure. Nobody there to support them and accept them for who they are. And this one girl in the book was sold to this guy when she was sleeping by her mom.
Yeah.
And it's like shit like that. And this one guy, he recounted about his childhood and his mom using a mechanical babysitter. And he goes to explain that this mechanical babysitter was the dryer, and the mom just opened it just a little bit so the air could get in, so the baby, he wouldn't suffocate. And it's just like, fuck. Like,
yeah, it's
is this like I was the same way, where I would look at people on the streets of just driving past downtown Edmonton, or when I see someone that isn't doing as well, that it's willpower, bro. Like they just didn't have the courage to just do it, to do the hard things. But it's the way I see it is I could easily be one of those people.
Exactly.
Like if I didn't get the unconditional love and compassion that my family gave to me, and I would probably be on the streets.
Yeah. It's you never know. That's the thing. It's especially with the lives that some people have are nothing compared to ours, like how hard it is or whatever, or other way around, sorry. But, their lives are a lot harder and they've went through a lot more from children than I could ever imagine myself being in. So just counting your blessings, we live in Sherwood Park. So it's
that's true.
You're blessed enough already compared to a lot of people.
Yeah, Sherwood Park. Where else can you go for a run at 2 a.m. and feel
not
safe?
Worry.
Yeah. There's nothing bad really that happens at Sherwood Park.
Yeah.
How do you believe fitness and a healthy lifestyle can play a role in supporting recovery from addiction or managing mental health challenges like psychosis?
For me, especially coming out, the gym was one of the things I needed to get myself back. I feel like that's really just a big part of my life, and it was hard. I came out of the hospital. I didn't eat for like however long, stuff like that, because I was only sleeping, and then before that I wasn't eating, so I had lost a lot of strength. But then it only gave me motivation to get that strength back. So I was, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to start pushing again. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to, do what I know how to do. And it's healthy lifestyle shows you that you can do anything if you just are consistent. That's one thing I believe is anybody can do anything if they're consistent enough. It's just showing up every single day to get what you want. And so, I've been back at the gym doing my grind, gained 20, 30 pounds since then, maybe. Am stronger than I ever have been, have more motivation than I ever have been, more confidence, not relying on things like weed as a false sense of confidence. It's really just learning how to deal with your own mind through the gym. Those hours you have running or those hours you have at the gym, it's thinking about the tough topics and making it into something positive.
Yeah. The intrinsic motivation of, okay, I've got it all within me. I don't need an external source to be able to muster up the courage to do the things that I need to do.
Yeah, that's a big thing. It's realizing that you yourself can do anything. And that's kind of, if I could change my life at the gym, why can't I change my life after psychosis? Because it really does feel like your life is ending, but life just keeps going on and you just keep on going, keep on learning. And yeah,
man, thank you for coming on the long-term podcast.
I had a great time. Yeah, good conversations. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, dude. It's just dude, you've been through a lot these recent years, hey? But
yeah,
good on you for not letting it beat you down, hey? You always get back up.
Thank you. I believe learning from the times you do get beaten down is kind of now just my motivation to never let it happen again. So keeps you on track.
You're going to look back in those times and it's just fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just fuel. Yeah. And yeah, dude, it's, do you have any last words to the listeners, viewers?
I mean, reach out if anyone is struggling. That's my biggest thing is, continue to reach out. All your family, loved ones, you're never alone.
Yeah. And as always, to everyone listening and watching, there is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope, strengthen your faith, and keep it long term. Evan, Levy, everyone. Peace.
See ya.